You said you're a surviving or
Recovering
Anglican. Maybe take us back. What were your roots in church? And how did you find yourself in that denomination, and maybe what led to leaving?
So the story, as far as my dad tells it, is that I was 3 and he was like, okay, so time for Sunday school. That's what people with children do. They take their kids to Sunday school. And so we went up to the Anglican church that was near our house, Holy Trinity Mowbray, beautiful little church. My mum still goes there. And I went there, and our family was involved in that church all the way through probably until I was in year 12. So that's like 1989 through to 2004. So a good 15 years. And I think we were Anglican because Dad went to Shaw and he went to an Anglican church when he was a teenager. My grandparents aren't religious folk. They're actually surprisingly atheist for folk who are in their 80s.
Interesting.
And they all think it's very silly and weird, and they're like, oh, it's that strange thing that Catherine and Stephen do.
Interesting.
But so my dad was an Anglican. There was an Anglican church on our street, which I reckon probably played a factor because we could walk to church. And when we got older, it meant that we could go and do youth group and stuff without needing to be driven or anything. And, lots of families in the area, so we were friends with kids from church. So Anglican all the way through up until end of year 12, like about July of 2004, so like coming to the end of year 12, I got my first girlfriend. And at the time I was dabbling with a Baptist church in Pennant Hills because a friend of mine went and she would give me a lift. And it was a great church. I really liked it. But I was sitting in church one Sunday and I just had this full body sinking feeling, almost like, when you miss a step and your body's just like, I just had this moment of like, oh, if everybody in here knew that my girlfriend was like 3 streets away playing soccer on her soccer team, I wouldn't be welcome here anymore. And I just never went back. And I didn't go back to church at all until 2015 or 2016.
And Catherine, how did not just the church community, but your family manage you having a girlfriend?
So chill.
Yeah,
super chill. Like my mum is, I think she's a really wonderful example of hospitality.
Yeah.
Like she just wants everybody to feel welcome and have a nice time and have enough food to eat and enough wine to drink. And so I hadn't planned on telling her because I was real stressed. Yeah. And so earlier in the day I'd said, oh, Mum, I'm going on a date tonight. She's like, oh, that's nice. And then I was in the car with her and we were going to pick up my brother from a mate's place and we were waiting for him to come out to the car, and I just impulsively said like, oh, Mum, that date I'm going on? It's with a girl. And she was like, oh, whatever you need to do to find yourself, dear.
Oh, bless.
And totally chill, totally vibed with it.
Oh, wow.
All of my siblings have consistently been really excellent for it.
Oh.
I didn't intentionally tell any of them. I had no coming out plan. They all found out in varying degrees by accident. So my brother James sent me a text. My girlfriend was over. My brother James sent me a text saying, if you don't want people to know, close the curtains, because he walked past my bedroom and seen us making out. And I was like, oh no, and just like full body panic. And then I can't remember how my brother Chris found out. And then the boys were basically taunting my sister and being like, we know something you don't know. And she was like, what? And they're like, oh, you've got to ask Catherine. And so I was like, oh, I've got a girlfriend. And she was like, oh, is that all?
Yeah,
like,
wow.
Super chill.
Yeah.
And then like a bit after that girlfriend and I broke up, I dated a boy for a while, and Mum said to Chris, who would have been like 12 or 13 at the time, she said to Chris, oh, Chris, do you know why Catherine's dating a boy? And he goes, because she's bisexual. Do you want me to explain it?
Oh, wow.
So they super fun. I was really scared about telling Dad, and I didn't tell him for another couple of years, like 2-3 years, because I was really aware of the fact that the Anglican Church wasn't affirming, and I had a lot of church friends when I was at school. Church was a huge part of my life. I was teaching Sunday school every week. I went to church every week. I led a youth group at school. I led a church service at school. I was a sacristan. Like I helped set up the fires. Like it was a huge part of my life, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so all of those church friends kind of fell away.
Yeah.
partly because of the gay thing, partly because I was going through it with my mental health. She was living at the bottom of the barrel. And yeah, so I was just really aware of that. And then like 3 years later, I had a girlfriend. It was serious. We'd been together for like 9 months or something. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I went to my dad's office and I was like, Dad, I've got something to tell you. And he was like, all right. I was like, no, it's important. He was like, okay. And I was like, Dad, I'm gay. And he said, oh, is that all? I thought you'd been arrested.
Which, like, I've got to bail you out, babe. Write a check.
Yeah.
Which I was like, it's
wow.
relieving, but also I was like, I've spent years thinking this is going to be a huge deal, and you're just like,
Oh, do you think they knew? They suspected? Do you think?
My mum reckons that she knew, and I disagree. I, as a little kid, always had quite a strong sense of feeling like I didn't fit in and I wasn't like the other kids, and my mum attributes that to me being gay, and she's like, oh, I think you knew, and that's why you felt different. And I'm not sure, because I really had no idea. Like, I was like, I am straight. Well, I've got a girlfriend. How did this? Okay, here we go. Like, I didn't have the prolonged, like, I don't know, what should I do? And I didn't have all of that angst. I was like, I'm straight. Whoop, got a girlfriend. Maybe not as straight as I thought I was. All right, well, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe they had a sense. I don't know. I think my siblings are all pretty comfy with the fact that, you know, they've got more kind of traditional, conventional looking lives. But yeah, everybody's just been generally pretty chill with it.
It's really nice to hear a story that is a happy story.
Yeah.
That's not a trauma-attached story, that it's just actually feels normal. That's actually a real blessing, I think.
Yeah. And I think even though my dad is still really active in the Anglican Church and we disagree theologically, he's still super welcoming. You know, he really makes an effort with my partner. He's super kind to her. Like, he's never excluded her. You know, we went on a family trip a few years ago, and a couple of weeks before, and he called me and he was like, how can I make sure Holly has a good time? And then during the trip, he checked in with me and was like, I want to make sure Holly has a nice time. And he checked in with her and was like, are you having a good... Like, that inclusion stuff is really... for him in the specific, it's great. It's in the abstract or the theological where we diverge.
Can I ask about that? Because I'm really curious. For you, growing up in becoming an adult and going through the pains of adolescence, so to speak, did your theology, however that looked at different stages growing up, was that always a natural fit with your sexuality, or was that something you had to kind of figure out, so to speak?
Oh, very embarrassingly, I was a love the sin, I hate the sin gal for a while, which is real awkward to admit as a now you know, very queer amateur theologian. But I think because it was it was what I had been told, and it was part of a whole bunch of stuff that I had been told that I now look back and I'm like, oh, no, thank you. You know, it was part of this suite of teachings associated with sex and sexuality that I just accepted. And then I got a bit older, and I think it was when it related to myself, and people were like, it's a choice, and I was like, it's just not. Like, there is no part of me that is choosing that. Like, it is just
what
who
is.
I am. It is. You know, it's no more a choice than being tall or having brown hair. Like, it's just how it goes.
Yeah, interesting. Because I'm always curious to ask, especially when it kind of overlaps with that more conservative theological grounding, like what that process looks like. Because unfortunately for so many people who find themselves in that situation, it's this like when we had Ben Gilmore on the show,
I was just going to say that.
Growing up through that Anglican system and really wrestling with how those two things interact. It's really fascinating how that can play out for different people.